What is up, Big Bear Nation? Man, we are so glad that you decided to spend your Saturday evening with us on this live stream. You know the drill. While Jason and I are getting the lights ready, getting my hair done and my teeth brushed, grab yourself a glass of tea and let me tell you a little bit about one of our favorite sponsors that we have, one of our oldest sponsors, Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. Now, it's no secret that Jason and I absolutely love Baker Creek. They've been with us from the beginning. They actually helped us with our Grow Foods Not Lawns project. They were there right behind us, our biggest cheering section, when we decided to do the big plans for 2020. They're just an all-around great company, wonderful integrity, great quality seeds. They stand behind their product. They have the best seeds, the best variety that I've been able to see. I mean, they have seeds from all over the country and all over the world, really, for that matter. One thing that I thought really just kind of shows me just how great Baker Creek is, their germination rate, I promise you, is almost 100%. It's crazy. If you look at my carrot bed, I sprinkled out seeds, and of course I'm horrible. I don't thin anything until they start getting bigger. And so right now, I have all of these that have finally been thinned out, and I'm just impatient. I don't like to wait until they get super big and super long. So I like to pick them out and just kind of pull them out and eat them. But decent sized carrots. They get really pretty, really long. They're tasty. But it's not just carrots, it's everything. They have radishes, tomatoes, things that you would have never thought of, they have seeds for. Another thing, they're very knowledgeable in different ways of using, one thing that they told me when we went to visit Baker Creek, we went and looked at all of the different seeds that they had. We got a bunch of different stuff to try, which we still haven't grown all the way through. But one of the things they told us was, you need to grow cowpeas. If you grow cowpeas, once you're done with them, chop everything up, put it back in the dirt, and let all that nitrogen, that green manure, compost down into the dirt for the fall. And I'm gonna tell you, we did that. And we've had celery in that bed, and the celery is growing crazy. And I didn't even think about it until I went back and looked at what I had planted in the summer. I have celery in different beds, and that bed is doing tremendously better than the other ones. And it's because we did that chop and drop of the cowpeas back into the soil. Thank you, Baker Creek, right? Also, they have a beautiful catalog that I still hold on to my catalogs even years after, they've gone into being obsolete. They're beautiful. They're like coffee table art. Love them. So if you haven't gotten your seeds yet, definitely check out their website. And let me ask you for one more thing, to be patient. If for some reason you go onto their website and it looks like they've shut it down, give them a day or two. I promise you it will be worth it. Well, it looks like we're just about ready to get started. Make sure you've got that glass of tea, and we'll see you in just a moment.
What is up, y'all? What is going on, everybody? Whoo. Let's see, who all do we have in the house so far? Let's see, we got Mark, Andy, Copper Kettle, Two Family, yeah, and our number what? 6?
Do we even have them on there? Number anywhere?
I know, right? So, give everybody a few minutes to get on in here. A lot of my mods are missing. Did the notification not go out?
I'm telling you, everybody is expecting us to not come on until after 8. So when we actually come on time, they get messed up with that. Oh, and then you did the time that you did the commercial at 5 till instead of at 8 o'clock. So everybody's like, what the crap's going on? Big Bear's on time. I'm telling you.
I'm sure they are sitting there at their computers, or their phones, and going, I don't know what to do. Big Bear is actually on time for once. Jason must have been in charge tonight.
Not even close. I got no notification. See, that's it. A lot of people are rolling in like right at 8 because they don't get a notification. They just, Donald said, I'm here. You can start.
That's who we were waiting on.
I just showed up because you guys have me trained.
Like Pavlov. Ding.
Oh, and I'm not COVIDing any all over. Look, last Saturday, the storms here were ridiculous. That's what, in the thumbnail, if you look at the picture, it was pretty rough here. Really rough. Delightful Cottage, what's up?
What's going on?
Hey, Dawn. That's Country Girl and Andy's Tennessee Life and Homestead. Is this a live or a recording?
I don't know. We'll let you know in a minute. What's up, Kinfolk Farmer, Georgia?
Hello,
How's it going? Speaking of Kinfolk Farm, I was stalking their channel this last week, and he has for his meat birds.
Yes, I had to hear all about Kinfolk Farm of Georgia in the middle of my week. Hey, gotta go check them out. It's exactly how it sounded, by the way.
Nowhere close. And it didn't even go down like that.
Yeah, you were
I did not sound like a high school.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
No, I didn't even sound remotely.
He
close.
was like that. He was like, so I was watching on YouTube today, and I found this guy.
No, I do not sound like I'm a valley girl. Got me with a spoon. No. Okay, wait a minute. Between the two of us, who grew up in the valley?
You did.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
I didn't either.
Who hung out in the valley?
I did.
Or whatever. But anyway, before we were rudely taken to left field.
Jason always sounds like that.
You know what, Donald? I hope a turd jumps out and pow, hits you in the side of the head today.
Anyway.
I hope you get a super turd and it just doesn't.
We don't get a lot of time to just search and not search. We don't get a lot of time to just watch YouTube. So whenever we go to YouTube, it's usually to find something. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're trying to rack our brains.
No, it actually came up in my feed. It actually came up in the little stupid feed that comes up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I wonder how he does it. Because we're both in Georgia. And I went, boop. And it made the boop sound.
Yeah.
And he has
I'm sure it wasn't like, oh my God.
See. And 5 years from now, they're going to be like, and this is how Robyn died. From a DDT.
Anyway. Fangirl Mr. Jason, I can see that. This little ponytail.
You know what? I am. It's coming. Boom! Just saying. It is coming. Woo! It's going to be like the nature boy up in here.
It sounded just like that. He was like, woo!
I'm going to punch you in the titty. So, anyway, y'all go. You know what? I'm trying to hook up a channel and give them some props, and you just being rude. But Kinfolk Farm in Georgia has a really neat set up for his meat birds for the brooder, basically the brooder stage. Mm-hmm. It's a lot better than ours. I'm gonna say that right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, we are opportunity homesteaders. Whatever opportunity we have at the moment is what we're gonna do. So, like with the meat birds, the best thing that we could come up with, because we've done an outside brooder and that did not work for us at the time. And the reason for that is because it was out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. It was too far out of the circle of doing chores, and my children forgot about them.
Oh,
my husband was too busy watching children and forgot about them, and I was at work and forgot about them. So between all four of us, and actually Blaze was still here at the time.
Yeah.
So even Blaze forgot about them. So my thought was, if I bring them in the house, nobody's going to forget about them. And that happened last year, because whenever they would get, temperature would be wrong, or they didn't have any food, or they didn't have any water, or whatever the case, I share a wall with them with my couch.
Yeah.
And so if they started to make a racket, we heard them. Yeah. And so I could check on them and be like, hey, why are they making noise?
Yeah.
You know?
And, but one of the things that I think about doing, closed circuit TV and wireless security cameras are really not that expensive anymore. So we may move them out to another shed type, like how he has it set up. But then also, and it'd be great for content too, to throw up. I'm sorry, did I step on your Valley shoe? We're going to start throwing stuff out there. We can go all
So, Mimsy,
way.
I'm sorry, you're having issues.
But I really liked his setup. That was 20 minutes just because he said something in the chat and you took it sideways. I hope you're proud of yourself.
I am.
Yeah, so.
I'm super proud. And it was like 7 minutes, Mr.
Okay, Mrs. Naked Gardener. Wakatamika. Mr. Prosciutto.
Yes.
Jennifer, Donald, Mimsy, The Delightful Cottage, The Naked Gardeners, April, Country Girl, Andy, naturally NC. I know Copper Kettle is in here. We know Kinfolk Farmer Georgia's in here. How are y'all doing this evening? And thanks for coming and hanging out with us. And yes, it's been a little bit silly, and no illegal drugs were used before the live stream went live.
Crystal's awesome. She's like, Robyn, you look like you're 20 right now with your hair and your rosy cheeks. The rosy cheek thing is really funny. It's actually a skin thing. I don't know if it's rosacea or if it's something, but my cheeks are stained this color. Like, they're not, this isn't makeup at all.
Stained?
And if I drink, they get darker. But yeah, like, they're always like that. They don't ever change. So, it is what it is. Hey, Jennifer, what's up? Hey, Misty. How is the pup doing?
Mean.
Ornery as.
She's doing very well. She's doing very well. She's coming along with her.
We said to family earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we get our feelings hurt?
Anyway.
She's coming along well with her training. Mm-hmm. She is doing... Well, she did take a tumble today.
Well, before that, last weekend we took her out, and see, we didn't talk about this because we weren't on.
Yes, we took her out, again, out in town, just to, help with socialization. But this time it was more about making sure she stayed focused on me and what she was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And she did amazing.
We even had an incident where we were in Walmart, and I'm the kind of person, like, when I'm done, I'm done. I'm walking away. Like, if you're making me uncomfortable or whatever, I'm just going to excuse myself. And we were in an aisle, and Jason was working on folk. Like, I would even walk ahead, and he would stay with her to just make it so that she wouldn't follow me and stuff. And this guy came up and asked us if she was a Rottweiler, and we said yes. And, we'll answer questions. Where'd you get her from? We like to promote the breeder because she's awesome.
She was amazing.
And so we were giving him that information. His daughter came up and asked if she could pet Lagatha. And when we're doing socialization, that is okay. But that day was not about socialization. And so Jason said, no, I'm training her right now. And she proceeded to have a fit.
Yeah. This 10 or 11-year-old
complaining to her dad that she needed to pet this dog. And the dad wasn't really, like, squashing it. You know, well, don't you think you could let her pet it? No! She's in training right now. This is not the time for her to be petted. You know, like, that's just the way it is. And so that was a little stressful. But I walked off. I was like, there's no good here. But I could understand Jason staying there because he wanted to take that opportunity to make sure that she stayed focused on him instead of being distracted by these people that were getting closer and closer. And it was just, but anyway, so that was that.
And she did really good. She stayed focused. She stayed looking up at me. She stayed in the sit position. And I was very, very proud of her. She got 2 treats after we got out of that aisle.
Yeah.
For that, because that was, I mean, she did a really good job with that.
We did get asked by Walmart when we came in.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, is that a service dog? We're like, she's in training. And they left us alone. They didn't
say anything.
Mess with us or anything. They were cool. And it was very obvious, I will say, that, you know, because we were talking to somebody today, and we'll get to that in a minute, but we were talking to somebody today who was talking, he's a shop owner. And he said he has people come all the time that bring their service dog, and he's like, I'm a vet. I have PTSD. I want a service dog, but I can't afford one. But then these people just walk in here and they let their dogs just run over my stuff. Yeah. They mess everything up, and he's like, they're not service dogs. Like, that really upsets him. But that day, it was very clear that she was being trained in the store. Like, Jason was on top of her, like, making sure that and then it was really crazy because I saw her doing some of the same stuff that Apollo used to do and has not been trained yet to do that. And so that starts to make me think that maybe it's part of the breed, that's just something that they tend to do. You want to answer that?
Kinfolk Farmer of Georgia asked, do we muzzle her when we take her out? No, I will never muzzle one of my dogs.
Unless there was a reason, and then in that case, there's a problem.
The only way that I'll put a muzzle on my dog is if my dog is injured and the vet is going to take care of it. And because snipping and biting is a part of their communication, that when they're in pain, they will growl, they will snip, they will yipe. And so if she ever gets injured, like if she breaks a leg or something like that and they have to set it,
that's a different story.
That's a different story. Then a muzzle will be put on her, but otherwise,
she will be trained not to for that to ever be an issue. Yeah. So that's no muzzle. And we actually sought out a vet that does not muzzle them. How is paleo going?
Farmer Meemaw. Hey y'all. I'm enjoying this one. This one. It seems to be, how can I say without hurting feelings? Easier to do than keto. This one it's definitely more affordable. And I feel full. With keto, I felt like I was always eating. Now, flip side, I poop way more on this diet than I ever did with any diet. He texted me the
other day and said, Robyn, we must be losing weight. I have crapped 4 times today and it's not even lunch.
I mean, like now I think with this one, we also had to go through the keto flu, but the keto flu, or the paleo flu, or whatever you want to call it when your body is changing, it didn't really affect me. Like, I didn't feel like I had the flu. But I pooped like it was my job, and I was getting paid overtime, and I got the hiccups real bad one night.
Yeah.
And it wasn't now. Thank you, Sydney from the Naked Garden channel. He Googled how, because I was hurting. You know, and I was asking my acupuncturist. He gave me something to do, and I did it one time, and they went away for a little while. I tried every trick in the book. Well, Sydney was he was off with his job, and he Googled it, and he said, look, this is going to sound crazy as all get out. But he said,
thank you, Yellow Rose.
That if you do the yoga position, downward dog, and gargle, that's supposed to cure it. Boom. I ain't had hiccups since. Now, it took me a good 15, 20 minutes to get in the position and be able to gargle without choking. Mm-hmm. But once, boom, they were all gone.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, are my mods ready with the links? Somebody give me a thumbs up or not, please.
4 times, is that all? So, Donald says that Crystal muzzles him when they're out in public.
I believe that. So, before we dive into our subject tonight, I think we've had more than enough time for everybody to get in here. Robyn and I, we are we chat with folks on Marco Polo, Facebook Messenger, stuff like that, and we have a group that we have become very close to. And they are a truck driving family that has recently just bought their homestead, their first homestead, and they are amazing people. We're really trying to encourage them to do videos about trucking on the road, and they have an awesome background before trucking. They were involved with child corrections, child corrections and I think it was like child corrections, child protective.
I don't know. I just know they come from a corrections background.
Yeah. And they have a friend.
That they met while working.
While working there. And that friend has become close to them like family. And see, we have become close to them like family. So this lady is... By proxy is family.
You know, like a second cousin or something.
Yeah. Not removed.
Not removed.
Unlike Sydney. He's been removed twice already, going for a third. But anyway. Her name is Miss Judy. Jody. That's what I said. Jody. I didn't say Judy.
Okay.
See,
I'm surprised you can't even
Well, see, that was my military brain saying, we're not going to talk about Jody. And now, when they sent me the picture of Jody, I was like, that is no Jody I've ever seen. That's not how Jody was described in boot camp. Okay. Jody is a very beautiful young woman. And she has come across some health problems. And if my mods could go ahead and put the links up in there. We're doing a bunch of fundraisers. Miss Jody has cancer. It's in her bones. And
right, so she had, from the way I understand it, her hip started hurting her. And I think she went to go check on the hip and found out about the breast cancer.
The breast cancer, which she calls... And see, this is one of the things that I just... Your state of mind does a lot for you. And I think that she's going to whoop this cancer because she has the right state of mind. Miss Jody called the breast cancer her devil titty.
Because she has metastatic breast cancer.
Right, yeah. And so that is
just
to
funny
me.
Like
it's
you
funny,
still have your sense of humor.
And to be able to do this. So our mods are going to be putting up links.
April just put up the GoFundMe.
There's a GoFundMe. There is an auction going on right now by a famous photographer. I was not able to get the photographer's name before the live stream. But this photographer and her group is basically, when you buy the picture, all the funds from that picture are going to help Jody with medical bills and stuff like that that's going to be coming down the pipe.
Right.
If you guys feel led, pray on it. If you feel led, go ahead and donate to that GoFundMe. Go check out the pictures. Maybe purchase a picture. But if not, if you don't feel led to do something like that, then do us a solid, because this costs you absolutely nothing. Share Miss Jody's story on all your social media, and let's help get it out there, and so that way we can,
spread the word.
Spread the word, because medical bills are not cheap.
No, they're not a joke.
And especially when you got something like this with all the chemo and radiation and
tests,
all
and
the stuff, all this kind of stuff. This kind of stuff adds up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, like my poor buddy, for an example, my poor buddy Troy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you guys remember back last year, we threw his GoFundMe up there.
That was my birthday weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just getting skin grafts. It was like $8,000 or $9,000 a graft, and they were using cadaver skin.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so stuff gets expensive out there. So if y'all feel led to help Jody, go ahead and hit those links. We may have some more stuff coming in the works, fundraiser for her here in the real real near future. I think we're in talking with the photographer. I haven't heard back about this yet or not, but possibly that photographer may be willing to come to some homesteads and do a photo shoot for you. And but again, y'all pray on it. Keep Jody in your prayers. If you have a prayer wall, she is up on ours, or a prayer list, or a prayer journal, whatever. Send her name up during your prayers. Well wishes, good things,
thoughts,
good vibes, positive vibes. If y'all could send that all over to her, it would be very, very much appreciated. Because look, anybody that works with the youth is a hero. Because the youth is our future. Okay?
Most definitely.
Robyn and I on the last Friday of the month, right now it's all by Zoom, we dress up like superheroes and we go visit the sick kids with cancer. And children take the biggest trouble that you may have had during this COVID crisis, and probably multiply that by like 1,000. And then you'll get close to what's probably going on in most of the kids' minds. So these people that volunteer their time or go to work in these facilities with troubled youth,
it's even more challenging.
Is a huge challenge. They're not just heroes, but they're superheroes. And sometimes y'all superheroes need our help. And Miss Jody is a superhero. And so let's show her that we love our superheroes. And do what you can. Even if it's nothing more than getting the links and stuff out there for her.
Very well said. You're funny.
Not bad from somebody from the valley.
I know, right? So anyway.
So, which also kind of, I don't want to say segues, but...
My shirt's messing up. Sorry. Squirrel.
Last weekend, before the storms hit, you and I were coming home from Anderson. And we got all kinds of excited because we thought, open up the farmer's market. We can dive in. Well, we went there, and it wasn't a farm. It was the spot for the farmer's market, but it was another event going on. And we met a reverend there who I believe God made us go. God sent us down that road so we would see that, to be able to meet this reverend. I believe that with my whole heart. His mission right now.
He's in the city council or running for city council
and also
or
running
something
for city
like
council. His mission is to, his overall huge mission is to be able to eliminate poverty. Mm-hmm. But when we started talking to him, he knows about food deserts.
Right.
And he is all on board with trying to eliminate food deserts. And so we are going to start working with him to help eliminate some of the issues with the lower income housings getting healthy food. Because let's just be honest. I mean, it's a sad time right now. It's okay, TJ, give me 25 push-ups. In this country where a 2-liter of Coca-Cola is more affordable
than a head of broccoli.
Or families are stuck going to McDonald's to eat off the dollar menu than to be able to feed their family a good, healthy solid meal. Mm-hmm. We have children in the United States right now that are only getting one meal a day because of COVID, because they're not in school to be able to get that free breakfast or that free lunch.
And let's be honest, during COVID, it was such a problem that they actually had the bus drivers pick up breakfast and bring them to kids during the morning, then pick up lunch and go back to take lunches back to kids in the middle of COVID, because they weren't used to, parents weren't used to having to feed their kids during the school day. And so there was all kinds of stressors that were going on with all of that.
Yeah.
And it's a problem. And that's why, like, every summer, it's a problem because kids aren't in school during the summer. Yeah. So where are their breakfasts and lunches coming from? Yeah.
And I have a huge weak spot. I know some of y'all think I'm like Superman and the Man of Steel, but let me tell you what my kryptonite is.
Yeah.
What my kryptonite is homeless veterans, veterans that are struggling, seniors that are struggling, and then kids. But it's not particular. There's no real order.
They all about the same.
They're all right there. That I will move mountains to do what I can to help. Basically, those three
Pretty
groups.
much. Well, I'll even go one further on you. Anybody who is in a weak state, like if they're in a vulnerable state, Dad, Jason has a hard time with seeing somebody be in a vulnerable position, and it not be any fault of their own. A good example is today. We were coming home and we had things to do, but we came around a corner and saw a young lady had a flat tire and had absolutely no idea how to take care of it. And so we stopped to help her. So Jason is one of those people that if he sees somebody that needs help, he's got a weak spot for that. So that includes kids, veterans that, are struggling, elderly people that are struggling, things like that.
It's just one of those things. Like I tell, we close the show every night with, plant smiles, grow giggles, harvest the love. But I tell you guys to be kind to one another. And to me, that's just a part of being kind. I'm not giving anybody a hand out. I'm giving them a hand up. And we were involved, before we moved up here, we were involved with another Homestead family down in Augusta, where they went in and they got a grant and they purchased a home in this community. And they got lucky because there was a greenhouse on the property, and we were able to fix everything up. We ripped walls out of the house, turned it into a big, huge commercial kitchen kind of thing, classrooms, everything like that. And we basically went in there and started educating the people how to do raised beds in their yard, how to.
And we started with little 4x4 squares, nothing crazy,
And taught them a little bit about companion planting, about soil health, about, going in there and really, because in all honesty, a lot of the soil in some of those low-end neighborhoods, especially in Augusta, was useless. There was, I mean, I have helped 2 production companies do documentaries, which one of them is supposed to be coming out this year on Hyde Park, about how it was their dirt, their vegetables that they were growing in their backyard.
Because the runoff from the factory.
The runoff from the factories was giving everybody cancer and getting everybody sick. And so we taught them about raised beds and stuff like that to be able to just take that out of the scenario.
And one thing I thought that was interesting is that even though there were some people in the neighborhood that were older people that still liked to keep up with their lawns, so they would mow their grass and then they would just put all their grass and leaves out to the curb. And so then, you know, the conversation was on using that for green manure and things like that. So there's so many different educational things going on that, look, there's a lot of things you can do that are not going to cost you money. Like, you just have to be aware of everything so that you can use those things.
Yeah. And the group, the homesteading family, Icebox Farms, they were the masterminds behind that. We were just workers. We just did what we could when we could there. But the success rate in that neighborhood, when we eliminated that food desert in that neighborhood, let me tell you something. A year later, they went back because they basically told the neighborhood, we're going to be here for 1 year. And we're going to be here to help you guys through one full circle. And then we're leaving. And you guys are going to nominate somebody that's going to be in charge of this house. And you're going to get the keys. And we're leaving. And so they did. And they went back like a year or 2 years after that. And the property value of all the homes went up. Attendance went up in the schools. Great GPAs went up in the schools. Crime went down in the neighborhood.
Less free breakfasts required.
Yep. Because all of these, they got together and then they started working as a community. You guys grow all the tomatoes, you guys grow all the corn, you guys grow all this, and then they started rotating it around. They were doing what they were taught, and then they would all get together. Yeah,
at this commercial kitchen, and they would prepare stuff.
Yeah, they would prepare meals, they would preserve stuff, and it would all get divided up among the neighborhood.
They started doing, like on Sundays, they would have a class where it was like a make and take class, but they were making all of the breakfasts ahead of time for the week for the kids for school. And so they didn't have to worry about, you know, making breakfast. It was all ready to go. They could throw it in a microwave, put it in the oven, whatever they needed to do. So how did they get a grant for it? Not sure what exactly, because I know one of the things that they did down there that was genius is they somehow got the government, and I don't know how they did it.
It was a Georgia thing. They got somehow they got with. We're going to be able to talk more in detail with this because we are reaching out to them to be able to start it up here. We've already gotten the permission to be able to start it up here, but we're going to get their notebook, and it basically is going to lay it out for us. But they had to jump through some hoops. Of course, getting a grant was definitely not easy.
Super easy.
But they also got, what were you getting ready to say about the food stamps?
Yeah. So there were food trucks that would come with all of there's a group down there called Locally Grown for Augusta. And a lot of people would bring their extras to sell. And what they did is they worked with the government somehow to make it so that if they used their food stamps at the food trucks, they got double the value. So if they had $10 in food stamps, if they used it there, they actually had $20 worth. Yeah. So it encouraged them to buy more locally grown until they could get up and start doing their own thing. So I thought that was really cool as well.
Donald, if you and Crystal want to try to tackle something like this up there in Gettysburg, let me know. And because I know that was one of Tasha and Steve's dreams. They really wanted to see this thing take off and go nationwide. I don't know if anybody else that worked with them there has branched out and started it in different areas, but we have been trying for 7 years to get it going in this area, and everybody that we would talk to would just shut us down. No, every church that we would talk to would shut us down. No. And we got a little bit discouraged with it. And when 2021 came in, I dropped that challenge on everybody is to, hey, start a bunch of seeds, and if you find somebody that is in need, share it. Share some of your starts, or share some of your seeds, stuff like that. And that kind of brought the wind back into our sails. And then when we met this pastor, it kind of really filled the sails. And so we're going to be giving him a call this week. And we thought we would talk to you guys about food deserts and how detrimental they can be to a community. I mean, all of us, we love the homestead, and we come out to rural areas, and our dream is to have acreage and to be able to be completely sustainable and raise, we do our best to try to raise 100% of our needs, and we can get kind of close, and stuff like that. But there are people, we have to pay it forward. This is the only way that we're going to win some of the battles that need to be won in this country, on this planet. By doing stuff like this, it makes people less dependent upon everything. If you stop and think about it, how much stress you remove from parents when they're able to grow a bunch of vegetables in their front yard, backyard, and they don't have to. That's something they could take off of their grocery list, and then they just have to go to their proteins unless they go full vegan or vegetarian or whatever. Then they just got to worry about their protein, and so that frees up their budget a little bit, knowing that their kids are going to have 3 meals a day, or something in their belly other than just one little meal at night.
And then it's not garbage. Like not all people, but several people that I've talked to, they know they're not feeding their kids well, but it's what they can afford. It's what they can do.
Yeah. And
sometimes it's just education. It's not even, it's not even about, well, to me, this microwave meal is cheaper. Put it in there, but they don't realize that if they took all of the things, like, yes, it may cost $10 to make this meal, but if they break it up into portions, at the end of the day, it really kind of can balance out, and so that's kind of, there's a lot that goes into it. Lost Dude says better get state ag grants and corporate donations. The food truck probably was a state ag because your food stamps are run through the state. And the corporate donations, they actually got Walmart involved, and Walmart gave them enough crock pots for each person to take one home, but then they also had them in the classroom for them to use, so they didn't have to bring their crock pot with them every time they came back and forth to the classroom. So that was nice.
Yeah. And how can I say what I'm getting ready to say without it sounding tinfoil hat-ish? I forget who in history said, if you control the food, you control the people. The healthcare is a business.
Yeah, Tori said earlier, healthcare is not,
Healthcare is not healthcare. Healthcare is a business. There is more money in keeping people sick than it is to heal or fix.
Hello, Sweeney's Creek. Thanks for dropping by.
So, of course, they're going to make a 2-liter of Coca-Cola that was just slapped full of sugar and corn cheaper than broccoli or cabbage or cauliflower or anything like that. Why? Because what are some of the things that are running rampant in this country before COVID? Because all you hear about is COVID now. Diabetes. Cancer.
And specifically type 2 diabetes. So, and that's one that, to my understanding, can be not only brought on by diet, but can also be managed with diet. So,
and be fixed by diet.
Right. Did you say hi to GDP? I'm feeling really bad. Like, did you even see that he was in here?
I didn't even see that he was in there.
Okay, well, we've been saying hi to a bunch of people that have come in, and I feel like we probably should say hi to him because he's been in here for a while. So,
GDP, what's up, my brother? I really want to take a vacation out to his place one day.
Yes.
What he's got going on out there is phenomenal.
Okay, come back to the road. You're out in the forest right now, chasing a squirrel.
Who put me on the trail? I know.
Come back on the road. That's why I'm bringing you back. Let's yield back onto the road.
Who put me on the squirrel? You put me on the squirrel.
I know.
Well, I don't remember. Heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. They're the 3 biggest money makers in the healthcare system. Right. Well, now COVID's probably going to run up there. We are a nation that is, or probably a civilization, you might as well say, the world is over antibiotic.
Antibiotic to death.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know of parents back when I was raising Blaze that would keep their prescriptions for their kids, especially amoxicillin. That was always the big one. The kid would never finish all of the amoxicillin, so you'd keep it in the back of the fridge and wait until they needed it again and give them amoxicillin because that's what the doctors were prescribing all the time. But we've found, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Your immune system starts in your gut. And we're not the only ones that know this. The powers that be know this, and that's why we have the food deserts.
That's why we get Coke on sale for $5.
Yeah, you got the dollar menu. You got all this kind of stuff, and when you're
our aprons.
When the powers that be are controlling the price of everything, or they're doing what they're doing, and it's very hard for somebody to just keep the lights on. You start looking at healthy versus let me just put food in belly, because you want to trust that this food is not bad for you. So they buy the cheap food. And what makes that?
Wow.
What makes the give McDonald's the ability to be able to serve a hamburger or a double cheeseburger for $1 or $2? It's because McDonald's is the biggest consumer of beef, pork, chicken, potatoes.
And potatoes.
So they control the market.
Not pork.
I thought it was pork too.
No, just beef and chicken and potatoes. Beef, chicken, and potatoes. Yep. And
so we have and that's where because they control the market, they bring in 1970, the Department of Agriculture told farmers go big or go home. And that's when monoculture started coming in, blah, 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 blah,
and
blah.
subsidies.
And subsidies.
So, Tori said, all I saw all the time at work before my layoff was diabetic-related issues created by financial restrictions. People that can't afford health care or healthy foods. It's not fair.
No.
Now, this is interesting. April said, using topical triple antibiotic ointment increases your risk for MRSA now due to increased risk of resistance. That's why I'm always telling y'all, preaching to y'all about essential oils. Because tea tree oil will knock out just about everything that you could use triple antibiotic ointment for. Just saying. And I'll be the first to tell you, we used to use triple antibiotic ointment for everything. And we don't do that now. I've even caught my kid going outside and grabbing plantain and rubbing it together to put on a bee sting. You know, we don't.
Or they look like they got a wad of tobacco in their cheek because they're chewing on it, and
so they can do a poultice. yeah. So it's pretty funny. So
yeah.
Hey, Sweet Pea Farm, what's up? Jujube McDonald's grows their own variety of potato too. That's new to me. I didn't know that.
So how as homesteaders and doing what we're doing, how can we help eliminate food deserts? Well, you're going to have to roll your sleeves up. You're going to have to get your hands dirty. You're going to have to knock on doors. You're going to have to... YouTube is great, and there's every person in the homesteading community that puts out content is doing a tiny part to help eliminate these food deserts. But we all have to take part in our community, our little micro community in here, because there's nobody else in here from Elberton or Hartwell. So that's kind of our area. There's really nobody in here from Anderson or Greenville. You know, we have a big, huge territory.
The closest one we have to us is probably April.
Yeah.
And Delightful Cottage is a little bit further out.
Yeah. And we have to get out there, and we have to start holding classes. We got to start going into these neighborhoods and start talking and start educating these people, helping them. Look, there are millions of businesses that are trying to get rid of pallets. And you can build a raised bed out of pallets. You can paint it, put some Thompson's water seal on the outside of it, whatever, and fill it full of dirt and put some seed and stuff in the ground to help these people. Because at the end of the day, it's not about laziness. It's not about it's not a culture thing. It's all about education. It's all about...
Good night, Chris.
Good night, Chris. Be safe out there, buddy. And it's all about getting the word out there. Not everybody can raise chickens. Not everybody can raise pigs. Not everybody can raise cows. But there is no reason why every person in America can't grow something. And when you throw back at me and say, I live in an apartment, I live here, and I'm going to tell you to go to one channel. I'm going to tell you to go to Mama Z's Texas Kitchen and see her tiny little garden that she has.
It's not even really, and I'm not here to like poo-poo on her at all. When you think of a garden, you think of like dirt and like an open space in the dirt or in a raised bed. She doesn't have that, y'all. But she has a garden.
Yeah, it's all in containers.
It's all containers, grow bags. But she is growing food.
Tomatoes, peppers.
Mm-hmm. She's working on some herbs and some
all kinds of stuff. Is she going to be able to supplement all of her food needs? No. But she's going to be able to supplement a portion of it. And that's going to start introducing healthy food into her family's digestive system. You know, and then she may get a bumper crop of tomatoes, and she puts up enough for her to make it to the next year, and she's still getting tomatoes. Well, guess what then she can do? She can then take those and go to somebody that may have had a bumper thing of squash, or may have had a bumper thing of cucumbers or eggs or something like that, and swap. They can trade.
Well, and the other thing too that I can say is, once you start gardening and you have some success, it pushes you to want to have more success. And one grow bag turns into 2 grow bags. And here's the other thing about Mama Z is she is in South Texas, y'all. So it gets hot. So she has some challenges, especially in grow bags, because the water doesn't, stay as much, so she has to mulch things and make sure that she waters pretty routinely. So she has a lot of challenges, but she doesn't give up. She just keeps going. Nope.
And she has a ninja cat that protects her plants out there.
So that's cool. UP Gardening says, I can't have a cow, but I have a herd share.
Right. And that was the next thing that I was going to talk about. Thank you, UP Gardening. There are CSAs, herd shares, all kinds of things out there that if you're in the city and these people can't grow their own stuff for whatever, they can't get the raw milk or they can't get the chickens or stuff like that. And if you have the ability and you have abundance of chickens, you're getting just so many eggs. Come up with a flock share. Call it a flock share. Look through your local laws to make sure you're not going to get the man all mad. But you can start a flock share where they can pay you a certain amount of money each month, and then you give them the eggs. If they can't afford it, don't be closed-minded and just be thinking about the Benjamins. I am all for sweat equity, sweat money. I am all for somebody wanting to come out here and putting in a certain amount of time, doing a certain amount of stuff for a ham or some eggs or some, a basket of vegetables. To be honest with you, I would much rather have that than them paying me in Benjamins. And I know some of y'all thinking I'm smoking crack right now, but I'm not, because at the end of the day, one, these people are getting some experience of what it takes.
Well, they get to get their hands dirty and figure out if it's something they really can do,
Right, and they get to be out in the sunshine and all that kind of stuff, but they're getting that experience. Plus, Uncle Sam can't tax me on that. He can't come after me on that. And I don't know if a lot of y'all noticed or not, but if you were due a tax refund this year, they're kind of putting the brakes on that, ain't they?
On some of them, yeah.
I bet y'all probably got a letter like we did. Oh, we just gonna go over everything to make sure you did everything correctly. Oh, hold on, cuz. I did H&R Block.
Have fun with that.
Have fun with that. Because I pay for peace of mind coverage. But now my tax return is going to be delayed another 60 to 90 days. Because of this.
Could be.
Yeah.
So I thought this was interesting. Jujubee said that last year they grew enough Swiss chard and they didn't like it, which I want to know why, how you made it, how you ate it. But she said that it was too pretty to kill, so they had like 3 families that they kept in Swiss chard the whole time.
There you go.
And now those 3 families are starting a garden. So
awesome.
That's really cool.
Way to go.
And Crystal said she doesn't know why she started her channel. She just wanted to meet all the cool people.
Oh. Law student says, what is a CSA?
I don't know what it stands for.
But basically, it's kind of like a gardening share.
What, is it a crop share?
Crop share.
Agreement or something? I don't know. Anyways, somebody will Google it and tell us. Yeah. But whatever it stands for, it's essentially where you pay. It's almost like how now they have concepts where you like pay for a box. So you pay for a box of vegetables. Almost like, yeah. And if it includes meat, you may get meat. It may just be whatever is in season that has been picked that week is what so it's a share.
Yeah, so you may get a bunch of squash one week and like 1 or 2 tomatoes. And then the following week, you may not get any squash, but you get like 20 or 30 tomatoes and a couple of cucumbers. It really all depends on what's going on, basically what's coming into harvest that week, and then they pay you a certain amount each month throughout the entire year, even during the wintertime.
Wow. UP Gardening said that I start a lot of my friends' plants for them in exchange for meat. My one family gave me 26 live quail.
Nice.
And it's crazy because in a barter situation, you'll find out, sometimes things that you don't think are nearly as valuable may be super valuable for somebody else that they're willing to give more for. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing, that's the great thing about barter is you work it out. Community supported agriculture. There you go. Yeah. Garlic, butter, bacon. 3 kids. No one liked it. Okay. I like it when it's a baby in my salad, but not when these suckers were burrito Yeah, so one thing with chard, it tastes better in colder weather. When you grow it in the summertime, it will get bitter. And yes, the smaller the leaves, the better. When you're getting big, collard size leaves, they do tend to be a little bit more, but see, that's crazy. Kids love kale. Couldn't pay them to eat the chard. So I would try to grow it in the colder months and definitely cook it down good. Don't, and the reason why I asked is because I had some just before we got on the live stream. And I had, I went out there and cut some. And I got some chard and some spinach.
I didn't think the chard was ready.
Mm-hmm. So I cut some chard. I cut some.
Oh, and so you weren't going to share?
No. And I cut some spinach. And I cut, we have some onions, some spring onions growing. So I pulled the spring onion, chop, chop, chop. Put in there with some garlic, just a splash of soy sauce, and it was amazing. So,
TJ, instead of going to a food pantry to donate the eggs, because you might get held up with that, because we ran into some issues with that here in our state. California may not be as tight as ours, but if the food did not come from a USDA facility, they weren't going to give it out. Because we were going to donate an entire cow one year.
Yeah.
And we got told
Shaw,
no.
What's up?
We actually got told no. What?
Well, that's interesting. Jennifer says soak it in salt water for a couple of hours and it'll take the bitter out. We'll have to try that because I'm going to probably try to grow mine throughout the summer because we don't really mind bitter as much. It's not,
I love how you try to play it off like we don't mind bitter.
I don't mind bitter.
No. Look, don't even let her sit over here and act like we ever get any of the Swiss chard. Robyn spoils the pigs with the Swiss chard. As soon as the Swiss chard goes a little bit bitter, they don't ever come in the house no more. But she goes out there and cuts it every day. And she goes over to her 2 favorite sows, and she hand feeds them Swiss chard.
But let me ask you something. Have those sows made us money? Have those sows raised us some beautiful piglets and some beautiful pork?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Naturally NC.
She just said, I'm going to grow chard because it's pretty and I have a sneaky suspicion that my pigs will eat it. Just saying.
Naturally NC. How are those... How difficult is it to keep our pigs that you got from us since they are addicted to greens and Swiss chard? Well, I do remember a story stating that you fed the pigs and you actually watched them push everything out of the way and eat all of the greens first.
So this is my favorite time of year because all of the weeds have kind of been laying dormant. And as soon as we had really good weather and a lot of rain, all of the weeds are going crazy. And so a lot of people are out there spraying weeds, taking things out. I am loving life because I probably have about 2 weeks worth of curly dock out in our pastures right now that I can literally go and take a little shovel and just dig it up and toss the whole thing into my girls and they will love me forever. Just saying.
I don't even know why you're digging it up. You probably should just...
I don't know. It still comes back, but I have my whole front kitchen garden right now, there is an area where it is like almost growing over the beds. So I have to go out there tomorrow and like get some of it out of there because it's just crazy. It's always difficult to know how big your family garden should be for the size of your family. Most are too small to support a family without shopping. Yeah, no, that's true.
That's true.
USDA requires all beef and pork consumed by others to be processed. Yes, we've run into that. That's why when we had our cow and we sold the share of our cow, we had it done through a USDA processor. They package it and then it just goes straight to the consumer. I just go and pick all the random stuff out of the yard and they're happy. There you go. I've donated my tomatoes to a senior center before and they were glad to get them. See, that might be a little bit different because it's more community supported. It's not government regulated. Yeah,
the Delightful Cottage, ours are the same way. They love being out on the grass and getting rotated, but we do feed them. It's probably about a quarter of a bucket this time of year every day to keep them bucket trained. So that way, when it's time to load up, I mean, you'll see a lot of YouTubers out there doing videos on trying to run round their pigs up to be able to take them to the processor.
Or they I've seen several that they'll take the trailer and put it inside the pen that they're in, and then like put food in there and hope that they're gonna like go up in there in the middle, and then have to go out there in the middle of the night and close the door behind them and stuff like that. Like we don't have to do that.
They'll follow me. They're bucket trained, so they follow me straight up and in there.
I even take them food in, like, even if I'm doing weeding and stuff, I'll even take their weed stuff
and put it in a bucket. Yeah. And that's the reason why we do that, is because when we're like, we have our pigs on smart fencing right now from Gallagher. Absolutely love it. We're going to be doing a video on that here pretty soon.
Except for little piglets.
Well, even the little piglets, they don't go far.
No. That's because mom's like
2 or 3 feet. But there's going to be a video coming out on the Gallagher Smart Fence with pigs. We've already done one with it with the cows, and it does great with them. But the pigs by itself makes life a whole lot easier when you have your pigs trained with on electric fencing.
Oh, okay.
We don't have anything to worry about. They respect that puppy. The way that the smart fence is, and it's literally a 5 or 6 minute setup if the girls are with me, 10 or 15 by myself, and it's, to me, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread for a homestead.
Mine are not just bucket trained, they're back door trained. They hear that door open and they shoot out to the edge of the fence. So an interesting concept. Juju B says, sharing an idea from my 9-year-old for your community center project someday. Ranch dressing garden. She's putting garlic, onion, dill, parsley, and chives in a large planter for salad dressing. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's a really cool idea. The Gallagher fencing we got has not only trained the pigs, but it trained my my nasty as all get out dog too. Yeah, she's telling me how she hit the fence, and well, even Lagatha has hit the fence.
Yeah, Lagatha learned about the goat netting the other day, but Lagatha, she kind of scared me a little bit with it, to be honest with you, because
I didn't hear this part.
She hit it, she walked right into it, and it got her, and she backed up, and then she got mad. And went to come at it again and start to try to like bite it, and so we had to like grab her real quick and be like, no there, shield maiden.
So Windswept said that they traded a cow for a wood stove, and it's going in her kitchen, so that's really cool.
That's a really good trade. That is a
but
really
again,
good trade.
that's one of those things where the value, you know, maybe the dollar amount might not be equal. But you may have had someone who has an extra cow and somebody that has an extra wood stove, and they're able to make an arrangement.
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of cool. But, so Yeah.
But that's the challenge that we kind of drop on all of y'all today. Go out into your community. Try to end the food deserts. Go into your lower income neighborhoods. Just drive through there. And figure out and I'm not saying you guys have to go and try to get the grants and do it to the extreme that Icebox Farms did, but figure out a way to start a reasonable CSA. I'm not saying make yourself go into the poorhouse with it and give your stuff away, but be open-minded to trade out food for labor. Or, maybe, you might have a metal fabricator down there, or a mechanic, or, who knows what. And you guys can swap. Because if you listen to a lot of the conspiracy theorists and preppers and stuff out there, and I don't really disagree with them, we are on the verge with hyperinflation. And so the dollar's really it's not really worth a lot right now, and here in the near future, it's not really going to be worth much more either. So start building a reputation. Start building a value base, I guess would be the right way to put it. A value base on the stuff that you grow and produce. Okay? Because when COVID hit, people like us that homestead and we raise and grow our own food, we kind of went to being almost like the 1%ers, because we weren't out there stressing about buying up all the stuff in the store, because we had it in our front yard or in our garden or this or that. And I believe with all my heart that every town in America needs to bring back the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. Because not everybody can be a teacher. Not everybody can be a mechanic. Not everybody can be a carpenter. Not everybody can be a farmer. But if you start building these relationships now, if this hyperinflation thing does happen, because I read somewhere that they're talking about a forced stimulus package to where they're going to, every month, they're going to be...
Or every other month or something.
Trying to cut a check to everybody. We can't sustain that. That's not sustainable. And so start building these relationships now to where we can end the food desert, and you can have your own little micro economy right there in your community. And look, who knows what type of relationships and what type of friendships you will form by doing this. You know, this nation is hugely divided, and this group of people wants to be against this group of people, and this group of people wants to be against both of those group of people. And, you know, this kind of stuff, this kind of working with your community, reaching out there, developing these relationships can end that kind of crap. And it can end it quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because at the end of the day, when people are hungry, they don't care what God you worship. They don't care what color your skin is, what nationality you are. They're gonna doors are gonna be open for conversations to make this happen, and you can end a lot of violence that way, or prevent a lot of violence in the future by doing this, by developing these relationships. Because if you're just growing the food and you're working with the carpenter and the woodworker and the mechanic and the welder and the plumber and this guy and that guy,
everybody's taken care of. Your community will become tighter. And just like that community in Augusta, change will happen. And that's how we defeat it. One neighborhood at a time. One community at a time. Yeah. That's like, you know, something I thought about just sitting here. Like, there have been times when I have seed packets, and, you know, there are times when You have 50 seeds in a packet, and you're surely not going to plant all 50 of those seeds. So why not have a couple of people over and everybody plant that 50 pack of seeds? Bring your own, like everybody bring a packet of something different and share all of those packets of, like, have a planting party or something. Like, that would be cool.
Yeah, because think about an okra. When you let an okra go to seed.
There's like 100 seeds in one pot.
How many seeds are in that one little pot?
And don't get me started about loofah.
We're not talking about loofah.
I was so excited. All of my loofah plants died in the frost last night. So I was so happy about that.
Or you could always just have a friend like Sydney who just comes over and deadheads everything and spreads it all around your homestead.
Yeah, so I had marigolds that were deadheading, which basically means that the flower's closed up and the flower actually becomes the seed. And so he took all of the flowers, dried up flowers, and took them and then walked around and did like this. And he would put them in his pocket like he didn't think he was doing anything. And he'd walk around and just like do like this everywhere he walked. And so now, marigolds have a very definitive leaf structure. Like once you see that leaf, it's a marigold. And I'm starting to see these little leaves pop up all in my yard. So, yeah.
Okay, Jujubee says her second set of loofah seeds are still a no-go. She feels like a failure.
Where did you get the seeds from? And is it warm enough where are you growing these? Where are you starting these seeds? Because this really should not be that hard. So there's something going on. I'm lucky our town is great for bartering and taking care of each other. Yeah. Loofah, I remember that disaster. It's still a disaster. It's an ongoing struggle.
It's the herpes of disaster because it just keeps on coming back. All right, Jennifer, thanks for coming. Happy Easter.
Oh no, your loofah died. Never fear. I'll send you some seed. I'm that good of a friend. We're not even going to talk about how good of a friend you are. I'll share loofah seeds with anybody. Oh, I would too, to get them out of my house.
Because they grow wild here now. Thank you, Lagatha.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of things that grow wild and are invasive, where we originally moved our mint from, did you see that? So back behind where the milking stall is, back where the garden used to be, where that mint was.
Yeah, it's back.
There is now a patch that's probably the size of our desk back there that is sweet mint.
So, does anybody need some sweet mint? Come on down. Andy, when y'all come, you're going home with sweet mint too. Just to let you know. D, do you need any sweet mint? Anybody need any sweet mint?
So Jujubee, quick question. Do you have a heating pad? Or a electric blanket? Since you're in New York, I wonder if you have any of these things.
Yeah, TJ, those loofah seeds that she sent you are a descendant from ours.
Who?
The ones that Tori sent him.
Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Did we give them to Tori?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've given loofah seeds to just about everybody.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is, yes, I know, I suck. They won't grow for us. Only seed, not to judge. No, there's something. I'm thinking it's the soil temperature. Because these guys don't germinate until it's like, the soil has to be like, is it 70, 75? Like, it has to be warm.
Yeah.
I know she's not in here tonight, but City Girl, she actually puts them on top of her refrigerator because, the motor is running there, and so it stays a little warmer up there. So she puts hers on top of her fridge, and that helps her to do like her peppers and things like that. Huh. She says, my living room is 72 to 74. Are you overwatering? Refrigerator. Oh no, that's a siren.
That's sirens. I would invest in like a mat or wait a little bit longer, Jujubee.
She can't though because she's in New York. Yeah. She has such a smaller growing time. Jujubee, do me a favor. Can somebody put up our email address? And if you have a way to like take a picture. Now, you set up here, I did moist soil in my living room, second set in a Ziploc. I wouldn't have done the Ziploc thing because that kind of stuff is but if you can send me, yeah, she does AeroGarden.
Yeah. Up Gardening Adventures asks how much protein should be in her quail feed. When we have quail, we feed them a game bird feed. And that game bird feed, if not mistaken, has like 21% protein.
I think so. It's like 21, somewhere around there.
It's super high protein. The more protein that you can get them, the better.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not germinating. It doesn't make sense. That's crazy.
Yeah, send us a picture of your setup, Jujubee, through our email. And we're going to try to help you get these things going the best that we can. We'll take a look at it and see. See, because loofah is kind of like, in my opinion, at least down here in the South, loofah is like crabgrass or Johnson's grass. Or
I really still think it's just not hot enough. Because I think even if your living room is 72 to 74, that doesn't necessarily mean that your soil is that hot. Yeah. So I'm thinking that... I'm really thinking it's the soil temperature, honestly, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, grow mats are nice. I saw where Miss Patty at Alderman Farms, she did a quick video the other day about like grow mats. People use grow mats now, and what she did is she took an electric blanket. Mm-hmm. And she did have the caveat that, this doesn't have a temperature regulator and all this crazy stuff, so you have to be careful. But she uses that because you can spread out much wider. It's more cost effective to do. So I know that, but it might just be that the soil itself is not getting warm enough. Let's see. Loofah is like kudzu. Amen.
Yes. Because like the Delightful Cottage said, loofah is a tropical plant.
Yeah, it is definitely, and that's why I think it grows so well out here, is because in the middle of the summer, it's like, I have not had any loofah reseed. Did you leave them out and let them to like fall and rot? Because what happens with us, I'll tell you what happens with us. We don't harvest them. We leave them to dry. And then the dog gets them and chews them open and spreads them all over the place and thinks it's a chew toy. Or a kid comes to visit our house and thinks it's funny to break one open and throw it all over the place. Or somebody doesn't know that
or Sydney comes to your house and breaks it open and throws it all over.
And somebody doesn't know that if you, when you open it up from the bottom where the flower was, you pop that little part, all of the seeds will fall right out. So you can't possibly pick them all up,
What's going on, Broussard Homestead, my buddy? What's going on?
Grow mats are expensive. That's why she was saying if you could get a heating blanket, that, Yeah.
Not necessarily Jujubee, because peppers are not really as tropical as the loofahs are.
Yeah.
So your the temperature in your soil right now may be about 70, 72 if your place is, probably a little bit less than that, maybe 68 to 70 if you're running 74, 76 in the house, where your loofah seeds may need that higher 70s soil temperature to be able to germinate.
Would loofah sprout better if it was pre-soaked? I don't know. You could always try it. Another thing that I'm thinking too is I'm wondering if humidity is a thing as well. If you have one of those planting trays that has the greenhouse dome on it, I would try that as well. Mm-hmm. I would try to plant it in something that you could put over it so that it whatever moisture is in the soil absorbs or goes up into the greenhouse part, and you still have that moisture inside. I'm thinking it has to be the temperature and possibly the humidity is what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Southern Ohio prepping. I can't grow a pile of dirt, but I will be trying as soon as I know what is all going on where I live. Making compost, if you're referring to making compost is easy. People just overthink it too much. You got to have more green than brown. And then you got to let it come up to temperature, and you got to turn it. Spin it. And leave it alone.
And, Delightful Cottage, that's a possibility too. I've had seeds spread up all over, or maybe my chickens are actually doing their job. We actually went out to our pig pen. It's empty right now where that first oink. And all along the edge of the pen, there is collards and mustards growing. Yeah. And it's because we had thrown some spent pods in there, and they got the seed, and
it didn't digest.
Right. So
it just came out in a tiny little fertilizer package.
Yeah, I would, if it were me, Jujubee, I think not even the plastic bag, because I don't think that's really, I think that works for, like, beans and maybe melons or something like that, but traditionally just beans. So, I would look into, just go get one of those, the small ones that's like the 7 or 8 for the pepper or for the tomatoes. It looks like a bread pan size, and it's got the little dome on it. And literally what I would do is, because it also bottom waters, so if you can keep that warm, maybe do warm water too, like maybe give them warmer water to maybe do that and see if that helps. Because I'm thinking that's the problem. I think it's the moisture and the heat, honestly. I bought my grow mats in pairs for like $25. Yeah, like $25. That's a lot for just 2 small grow mats. I fed my animals lots of loofah seed vines. Yeah, they love the greens. The greens are,
Is that Carrie or Carl?
Carrie.
She
Gonzalez.
Said 8 of my 16 cabbages bolted.
We have some cabbages bolting now too.
Yeah,
but I'm keeping mine for seed, so.
Well, you're not gonna use the bolted ones for seed.
No, they've already, bolted is the wrong word. I'm sorry. Mine have gone past and become seed, not bolted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got what, 6 heads out there that you have let stay there to go to seed? Mm-hmm.
Just cover a foil pan with saran wrap. Yeah, you could do that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing you could do is instead of like your little cups or your little things, like just take a bread pan and put some soil in it and just put 5 or 6 seeds in there and keep that nice and warm. And then as they pop up, you can then pull them out and put them into, if you need to transplant, you can do them that way.
Yeah. Southern Ohio prepping, he's got me thinking, if you have your chickens in a coop and you don't rotate them around, one of the things that you can do, now I learned this from the Back to Eden guy, I can't remember his name right now, but you take all of your grass clippings, your table scraps, your vegetable matter table scraps, and you put it out in that chicken coop. And what they will do is they will eat what they want to eat, they'll scratch the rest, they'll poop on it, and then by next season you can go out there with a pitchfork and start digging it up and just go get you some 1/2-inch, 1/4-inch hardware cloth and put it over your wheelbarrow or your gorilla cart, sift it, and that fresh compost is going to come down to the bottom. That's what we're going to do for our big garden.
Oh. Hey guys, I got a baby pig. It was supposed to have 1 eye, but I checked him out and he don't have no eyes. Will he be okay? No eyes? Like what? Blind, can't see, or physically no eyes? Will he be okay to turn out an electric fence? I mean, it's going to take him a while to figure it out, but...
Well, I honestly believe that they can...
They can hear it or smell it or sense
smell it or something. Mm-hmm. Because even the goats, the very first time when we put them on there, they would look at it and they would turn their head back and forth.
And you would see them smell, like their nose was... So I'm really, like, Delightful Cottage, she's got me thinking now. Because I'm having issues with my tomato plants right now. So I was thinking about replanting, but I was thinking about doing free seeding method where you just throw a bunch of seeds out.
What's going on, W5?
And so...
Long time, brother.
So I was thinking about, like, taking one of the seed trays and just putting a bunch of seed and soil, putting some seed in there and wrapping it with saran wrap instead of the domes, because I think that would still... You know, because once, and this is the trick with the domes, if you've never known this, I always tell people this because I didn't know it until I actually read the package. Because who reads a package on a seed starting kit? Nobody reads the package, but I finally read the package. And it tells you that once your seedlings start to break ground, you're supposed to remove that cover. So, because I used to wait until, you know, they were pushing the cover off. But if you take it off after they break ground, that helps them not to have mold or algae or any of that crazy stuff.
In all honesty, David, I would cull that piglet.
Yeah.
I would cull him.
Yeah, because you don't want to...
You're going to have a very difficult time with him. And he'll probably won't get to very... A large weight or anything. A large weight. I would cut your losses with him.
Well, Brenda, thank you, because I think that's what I'm going to try. I think I'm literally going to just take the smaller containers and just do, like, maybe draw a line in the middle and do one on one side, one on the other, and do it that way. Yeah, that's one thing I have found, because what I did, and this was my mistake, not my mistake. It was me being lazy. I'm just going to be flat out honest with you. I don't like putting them in those small little cells because then you have to break them up and put them up and you have to repot them. So I thought, well, I'll put them straight into cups. So I did that. And they didn't get the moisture from the domes that I normally use. So I think I'm going to try that and see what kind of... success I have with that. I may do a video on that. Thanks, guys. And I'll give all of y'all credit for that. My city is recovering well from the apocalyptic weather, but it's still hard to find a lot of building materials. We can find them, just can't afford them.
You ain't lying.
It's ridiculous here. And what's crazy is this really ticked us off today. We went to Lowe's to go get gardening gloves for the girls because we're starting to move a bunch of briars and cut a bunch of stuff, so we didn't want them to tear up their hands. And while we were there, we drove up from the side of the building, and there are 4x4s, 2x4s, 6x6s just piled up on the side of the building, y'all, and like oozing out of the back of the store. But yet, the prices have not gone down. It's ridiculous to me. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So it looks like quite a few people have done that. So thanks, guys. Yeah. Yes, cinnamon dusted on the potting soil will help with the rooting and it will keep white flies and mold down. That is absolutely true. We've seen that before.
Now, you know that they also say that stuff with like lumber, building materials, gasoline, stuff like that, when it goes like how it's going and it continues to rise, that's a tattletale sign of inflation, hyperinflation coming. So that's one of the things that makes us have our finger on the pulse.
4x8 OSB is $56 a sheet there.
Yeah. You remember when that stuff's like
plywood
$4?
Was like $30 the last I remember having to buy it. A 4x8 sheet was like $32 for the good plywood. Right, for the good plywood. Yeah. Now it's like 60 something.
OSB
I know what OSB. Yes, dear. It was like $4 or $5. I don't remember it ever being that low, but I know it was significantly cheaper than plywood. Yes. So, Duncan 1900 says she planted over 500 seeds that way. So just be careful when you're planting. That would be me. I could just see that happening. My first time trying to raise the pigs to butcher. So he has another one. So he's close to the other baby, but he's eating good.
I don't know where you got that pig, bro, but I don't know if I would be checking on it.
Yeah, OSB is splinters and glue.
Yep. Most rickety.
Building our 8 5-gallon bucket planter solely from Facebook Marketplace free scraps, I think. Sure, I had to remove nails and screws, but I got it. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I have my job actually gets their materials in these wooden types of pallets. And so that kind of material, they just cut it up and throw it away. And so that's something that we're working on, trying to get that.
And look, because none of y'all live around me, I can share this. These are the places to go to. Okay? Go to any countertop company. Anybody, like if you have a warehouse. There is a message for you. Thank you, Jarvis. If you have any place that does like the granite warehouses, when they get them shipped in, they come in with real 2x4s, real
or 3x3s, 2x6s, yeah.
Your heating and air companies, your HVC companies, a lot of their the new furnaces and stuff like that, they come in on long, big pallets that have real 2x4s, not the stuff that you get there that's like a 1/16 of an inch short. I'm talking solid, raw, rough cut.
Yeah.
And they've all been heat treated, not pressure treated, because a lot of this stuff is coming from overseas. It has to be heat treated immensely because of bugs. They don't want an invasive insect coming over to do it. So they heat treat the tar fire out of them. And those are great honey holes that these people, when they start getting them in, they're literally, I know some companies are just
tractor dealerships get big crates. There you go. Siding. Anybody that does aluminum siding, they get theirs in big, huge crates.
Yeah. Don't go out and buy lumber right now. Hit those places up. Mm-hmm. Most of the time you can get it for free. Now when it kind of starts to pick up, just like how getting wood chips used to be for free. Now, some companies want to charge. But even if you're getting it at $10 a load, $20 a load, or whatever, you're still going to be saving a lot of money being able to do that. But hit these cabinet companies, anybody that's a producer that's making something, because that's where their money is. Their money is installing those cabinets. Their money is in cutting that granite and installing that granite. Their money is in installing that furnace. All that wood that it came in on the crate is trash to them.
And I would really take up on this now because lumber prices are going up. It may not be long before pallet companies are starting to offer companies some kind of incentive to return those pallets. Yeah. So I would get on this before it's not an option anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
Because if you can find 3, 4, 5 places like that, it would be cost effective for you to go rent a U-Haul, one of the big U-Haul movers for the day, drive there, load it all up, bring it back to your homestead, and unload it and turn that U-Haul back in, because that U-Haul may only cost you $100.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get like $700-800 worth of lumber for nothing. Just your time.
And a little bit of gas.
Yeah. So
in the UK, we scour the trading estate. They want them out of the way. What's the trading estate? You'll have to let us know what that is. Yeah.
Feed and seeds. Now, some feed and seeds have to give the pallets back, you know, the tractor supplies. Walmart has ships theirs back and forth. You're not going to get anything from Walmart, but a lot of your stores like Academy and them, it does not hurt to go in and
What's
ask.
the worst they could tell you? No.
That's the worst they can tell you is no.
Yeah. We made a bathroom sink out of a wooden crate.
There you go.
I mean, the possibilities are endless because, you know, that's the thing is, you know, with these pallets, a lot of times the wood is it's just rough cut. That's the only thing. And so, you know,
you can run a sander over them. Look, you can do a lot with a biscuit joiner and some wood glue. You can make your own
panels
own 4x8 sheet panels. We've got a hookup where we're getting a bunch of pallets getting ready to come to us in the beginning of the next month. Those pallets I'm going to take apart and I'm going to be gluing them up and we're going to be making panels and I'm going to be making the, what are they called? Armoires.
Oh, is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, and we're for everybody. And each girl will have one, and then Robyn and I will have one, so that way we can take all the stuff out of our one walk-in closet, and we're going to turn that into our pepper pantry. So it's got all of the, because it's got a lot more room, and it's in, you know, towards the back, more towards the back of the house.
That's cool.
But there are all kinds of videos. The Epic Upcycler, the guy that I like to watch, where he builds magnificent, beautiful. If I could get a 16th, a 32nd of this guy's talent in the wood shop with the stuff that he does with pallet wood, and he makes a killing. He'll make Viking chests. He makes all kinds of beautiful stuff. And he doesn't even have a lot of fancy tools.
So Lou said it's a site where you have multiple businesses renting units and they have communal areas to dump pallets.
Oh.
We made and sold garden furniture from them and that paid for the log burners.
Nice,
that's cool.
Yeah, and you could act. And another part about being sustainable is being able to have income come in through your homestead. Getting these pallets and stuff and getting used to working and making furniture and making stuff with these pallets, it could be another form of income.
David, we're in Georgia.
Thor Haven Farm. How's it going, my
So
brother?
Carrie says our Tractor Supply lets people pick up on appointment for free, just making sure they have staff to cover. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've never really tried because we know where we can get some, so we try to keep. So that's the thing is like you don't want to be greedy.
Yeah.
So don't go scarfing them all up and not leaving them for anybody else.
Yeah.
So, you know, we try to think a little bit more outside of the box so that the people that aren't really as familiar with the other things that are available, that if they want to go to a Tractor Supply or something like that they can, you know.
Those, yeah, because you can make egg mobiles, chicken coops, turkey coops, chicken tractors, all this kind of stuff out of pallet wood. And it's already heat treated, so you could leave it as it is, or you could throw some Thompson water seal on it, or you could paint it, and it's going to last. You can make raised beds for it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's lots of things that you can do. Well, we have gone almost 2 hours tonight, honey.
I know. Well, when you got on the soapbox about the food forest or food desert as opposed to a food forest, it's just something we're very passionate about. So it tends to be. So anyway.
Well, that's good, David. I'm glad to see that you're new to the homesteading thing. I hope you stay on this road of the homestead. Our email address is there if you ever have any questions or run into any hiccups or issues as you're going down this road. Go ahead and shoot us an email. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Sometimes it's within an hour, sometimes it's within 24 hours, sometimes it's within a couple of weeks. Really depending on the time of the year. Like this time of year, it would definitely be a couple of weeks probably before we were able to get back to you. But we do our best. And don't quit. Don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. Keep putting seed in the ground. Keep trying to raise those animals and keep going down that road to sustainability, because not only is it good for you, but it's good for your community, it's good for this country, and it's good for this planet. There's nothing wrong, there's no negative in growing your own food. There's no negative except for a little bit of the sweat equity. I mean, you're not into sweating, then that could
be a problem.
That could be a problem. But the flavor of the food that you're raising, it's going to taste so much better.
Even if it tasted exactly the same, it wouldn't taste exactly the same, because your hard work will skew your taste buds.
and I promise you, the first time that you sit down to that meal and you look at that plate and everything on that plate you had a hand in, that is going to be the absolute best meal you ever happen.
Oh my God. That is hilarious. I just mark her Robyn and she gets right back to me, Jason.
That's because she likes you.
Yeah, Jason is just saying a couple of weeks just so that if for some reason we can't get back to you right away, you don't get upset. I live in Hardy, Arkansas. My wife wants chickens.
You have a lot of good homesteaders there in Arkansas. A lot of good ones.
Dee said, yeah, that's because you have the inside connection. I'm already dreaming about tomatoes. I think we all are, honestly. Yeah.
Well, guys, we've been on here for almost the better part of 2 hours. We're going to call it a night. We have a very busy day around here tomorrow. We got to go get some paint for some shelves. We got to start on a mobile goat house. And then we've got to get ready. We've got meat birds coming in next week or the week after, right?
Not this Monday. They're not on this Monday's hatch, but next Monday's hatch.
Monday's hatch. So we got to get ready.
And I think Dee is in the same boat. I think she's getting chickens the same week we are. I don't think it's meat birds. I think she's getting her layers that week. But yeah, so that's something that has to be taken care of. We've got to get that prepped and ready to go. Fortunately, the temperature's already pretty stable in there because we've had the tomatoes in there. So the temperature's right. We just got to clean out the bedding, and get new bedding in and all of that good stuff. So.
Yep. So you guys, tomorrow we celebrate Easter.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrate our Lord and Savior defeating sin and rising from the tomb. Tomorrow is Easter, is the Super Bowl championship, where we celebrate winning the Super Bowl championship, where we, as followers of Christ, as lovers of Christ, we get to celebrate the fact that he defeated sin. And I always struggle when I try to, because I don't want to get choked up, but this is the time that we get to celebrate what price Jesus paid for us, because he did defeat sin by rising, and he opened the door for us to be able to get to spend eternity with our Father. One word: grace. Yes, because it's through grace, we've all fall short of the glory of God, but it's because of the grace and the love of Jesus that we're all able to make it to eternity. and spend an eternity with God, with the Father. And this is just a very wonderful, wonderful time of year. So just remember that He is risen. Because it's not about a bunny and eggs. It's about Jesus defeating sin. He paid the ultimate price for us. Didn't even know us. We weren't even around at that time. But He did it for me. He did it for you. Every one of you out there. All of you. You did it. And so, remember that. So, we guys, thank you for coming and hanging out with us on a Saturday night. Now that it's dark, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate every last one of you coming in and hanging out with us. And like Robyn and I always say, plant the smiles.
Grow giggles.
And harvest the love, baby, yeah.
You're so silly.
Yep, be kind to one another. Be kind to one another. Kill hatred by being kind. Remember the challenge. Go out there and let's try to eradicate food deserts. Until next time, God bless. Happy Easter, everybody.
Good night, y'all.